Hello.
I'm getting you, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Fabrice.
Okay, good afternoon from here. Yeah, it is 3 minutes to 3 p.m. on the time.
Wow, are you in Yaoundé or you are in Ambazonia?
Well, I'm presently in Amba. I'm present in Limbo.
Okay. You know, this is a No Kunny talk interview. So, please, it's a formal conversation I'm having with you.
No, of course. When we do Kunny interview, nobody will not play for today. I don't have any issue there. I'm first of all a relaxed person. The way I do my activities and politics, I don't create enemies with people, and I don't hate people too. I don't attack people's personalities. I attack their ideology.
Perfect. That's correct. So, I do want to ask you about this AYCF. I think the all youths, Anglophone youths conference now.
Conversation forum.
Conversation forum. So na group way una the one organize all Anglophone youth conference.
Exactly.
Okay. This all Anglophone conference, you've been a journalist now because all we see you for TV, for Equinox every time.
I be my position. I be Secretary General for Popular Action Party now.
Okay, for that party where Paul be being a founder, we don't resign.
Exactly. Now me I take Apostle Remo position.
But you be also
I fit one of my mentors. Now me I every time he get 10 meeting for irrespective of what because the thing I say me, I do now political communication. I get to do political communication. Then I get to do for political science and human resource management. So most of the time, my communication with TV, they always do like that as a journalist. But I be a politician. I not be a journalist.
Okay, at least Akosong Raymond, na spokesperson for the Ambazonia Governing Council, and just for full disclosure, Paul na person we I personally admire you a lot, and a very courageous way they always talk the truth. And
exactly.
Yeah, but I be once very critical for when this struggle be those start it be they come up with a list of people where they feel represent we for negotiate with La Republic. I be feel be premature. I think after that time Panel sit talk with me again clearly na true Kunny the talk. But nevertheless, I want to talk about this organization. Una form the organization now like a political party. Now how many of una be behind this group?
Now actually a forum where now we a group of Anglophone from youth from Anglophone extraction. So now we 6 days behind.
You feel mind for give you the background or the people them behind if you be okay with you?
Yeah. Myself, I be one where I been a leader for PAP. One of the other guy them, na some guy for Balikumba for Ndop, na 2 leader, they call you contempt with family. Maybe if you find a name for Facebook, you will see or for Google. Now one of the guys then we get the guy to idea for Syrian political party. They call him Bar Raoul. Now guy for Momo. Yeah, he needs to be part of it. Then we get that guy then Sony something. The guy there for Nigeria. Yes. In Pure Amber, that one a Pure Amber. He used to be by the idea. Yeah, he used to be by the idea. Now, part of the person will be the other people. There now will be consult them to ask them if they will be part of the forum. They will get to in Egbe Esther airport. Now, Tongue for Star, you two, Nadida, you work with international rescue, now humanitarian. Yes. Now, we be the main people the way we will hold the first meeting there with the say no, take the forum. Then we discuss with other youth the way they agree for being with me, like for Mundab, Roland, now agriculturalist, like Advocacy, about that one, the founder of Cameroon International Film Festival, Ba Nadia, when a civil society. Some other youth them, now very young people, vibrant. None of we be above 39. It's the range of youth below. That means that kind 38, 39, all way right to 30, 20, 59, late 20. Now the group of the youth then that we consult. So our objective, principal objective, nothing. We want to, we were with there for majority, we were with the federal voice. Then we get in touch with people who are pure happen Amazonia. Then, because of the good relation where Malay in particular, I get and with so many Amazonians, them, we discuss so that we get some meetings out of Cameroon, all Anglophone Youth Conference. We see how we put our own objectives together, whether we come out something for the approaching future. So, we don't try for work. I don't discuss with Apaya about the issue. He tell me my good idea. I don't discuss with Dr. Muntu. Dr. Muntu tell me a good idea. I don't discuss with Alcoson. He don't tell me say he will give me feedback. He will respect and give me feedback. I don't discuss with After Abuno. He don't tell me say a good idea. So we will be in the consultative stage. Now what I tell you that very message we are sending for you, the very message we are sending for the other people who are mentioned and for you so. So they tell me say now a good idea. So now what I tell you to so that you could give your own feedback on how you perceive the initiative. Because we want to take them to the level where we will start the national community and make preparations for holding. But before we want to make preparation for sponsorship, where we take action for international community, we want to get a number of people the way they don't agree. That means symmetries from member camp and from federalist camp.
So, una the plan for hold the conference now for Osai, if everything goes up according to your plan?
Ghana. That's I don't pursue Ghana for my head team. No other issues the way I be try for check them. Now the possibility of extradition between Ghana and Cameroon, the possibility of Ghana government to hold strong for Pan-African principles there, the possibility of Ghana and maybe ECOMOG, because we know the ECOMOG and ECO are strong. But how the people say we. So those are the little things that we will be expect. Other people that will propose say Dubai, because Dubai gets non-extradition treaty with Cameroon and the rest of the world, and flight and logistics today. But we will take the name Dubai be more of something. So we will take Ghana and Dubai. But me personally, I believe in that. So the things now just a conception. We never yet consult all man. It must be consultative before we agree on the place.
I see for my head later way I get them when I one of our member to be dancing for me. The right time for under say justice, peace and reconciliation. The day say na motto.
Exactly.
The day on a motto. So
yes, that's the motto: justice, peace and reconciliation.
What type of justice so now they talk?
We return our justice for Southern Cameroonians. When outside justice, we say because one time we want to let the international community know that they grant justice to Southern Cameroonians. Then we will consider two things. We are studying international relations and the implementation of resolutions where people they agree mutually or by cohesive force that want to win a peace agreement after war. Where the guarantee for implementing depends on the level of awareness where when I face the problem, when I don't face them, and the number of international community when I don't suspect them, because we know very well the international community NATO and negative policies, especially with France, it's not really easy. So we we return about justice to Southern Cameroonians.
Southern Cameroonian, justice to Southern Cameroonian or for the state of Southern Cameroon?
Justice to Southern Cameroonians and to the state of Southern Cameroon. You don't really put them all right. Because when we talk of justice, we return a revival of our Anglo-Saxon education system, revival of our mobile policing, revival of our political structure and culture, revival of our judicial and legal common law system.
You know, say the core of this issue now the issue of sovereignty. The fight for we forget our sovereignty. When you talk about reconciliation, now what type of reconciliation?
Well, at the level of reconciliation, that will depend on, because first of all, when we talk about justice, if justice is done, there will be peace. If there is peace, reconciliation goes on. So that reconciliation depends on the first two words the way we use them. Now, why that we put them last? Because reconciliation not be there with justice not there, and justice not be there with peace. Reconciliation not be there with peace no day, and peace not be there with justice no day.
So
reconciliation depends on peace and justice.
So why if we say when a youth, as you talk, say most of when young people, we Cardinal Tumi, where he be been an old and very experienced man, with a team of all religious people, them, both imams, Christian, and all the various denomination them. He don't fail for whole all Anglophone conference. Why if we say when a youth una fit succeed?
Very good question. One, we constitute the bulk of the population. Two, now youth that die as amber or as soldier for La Republique. Three, now youth their future where they compromise the school way in order to go on because they want to achieve something. Four, youth they don't become conscious now. Like many youth don't become engaged to either take up arms or to fight diplomatically to solve the problem. And you then get the ability to take up more arms or for take up more diplomatic route or for even cause protests. So we don't see the volume and the population of the youth. If we easily influence decisions at the local level within the country and at the international level, if this conversation where we want to put in place, we get branches all over countries the way every Southern Cameroon did it.
So you feel say
things the way the elders can be doing like Advocacy, to the higher podium, be unable to do them, we will be doing one because we'll be agile, we'll be young, we'll be flexible, we'll be dynamic. The intellectual tax where Advocacy no will be taken, now you will be taken. Because that intellectual tax for holding even 3 or 4 conferences within 1 month or 1 week. Now see where we see them as young people, but that people want to do them. The ability to travel to so many countries in research to be available for influence actors. Make them sit down or make them carry out some decisions. Now, since they don't know feed them, but we will feed them. So we believe that we'll get that energy and they will get the power for influence plenty the way they know to feed them, we will feed them.
So what chance you feel say you feel get them for convince La Republique du Cameroon for go negotiate if they no fit, they no be fit? Is there a line and come back? What chance you feel say you get them for convince La Republique where una just been a youth? If the Swiss people then we will believe say they are na friend people na friend of a poor beer, they never succeed for bringing for their own flawed negotiation. Cardinal Tumi if fail for do am. If he say poor beer we never listen for any man, he will listen for now.
Okay, wait. I want. You don't ask me some last question. I want my answer, and then you give me overall feedback.
Go ahead.
Good. I want to say about chances. One thing that I've known from the different revolutions, the one I don't study for Africa, be it the one that was led by Samurai Machel in Mozambique, or that of Agostinho Neto in Angola, or the recent one of Salvador Makidi in South Sudan, or Eritrea, their own, right up to the one that took 2 months for Papua New Guinea. I don't study those things and I don't look documentaries. Most of the time, Even Arab Spring, it was led by youth. Most of the time, when we see things them for early their hand, it goes faster than when we leave them for their hand. And then talking about chances, if we hold all Anglophone youth conference, where at this youth conference we come up with resolutions, and then we take these resolutions and go and submit it in United Nations Security Council. We submit them for the Republic government. We submit them for all places they were supposed to submit them. We don't put these people in place for history, in place of their responsibility, and in place of any chance. That means we don't give them all 100% ability for sure say we get the willingness to talk among ourselves, we collaborate among ourselves, we don't agree on this, but the other come and the world don't reject we by not looking into the resolution. We don't give the taking action in regard to it. Now, at that point, me, where I be claim and say there is possibility for peace, justice, peace and reconciliation, and then we feel part of the form of state. I will not support you. Say my brother where began to tell me to say this is a problem of God. When the other man said over kill people agree. Did you convince me after I not agree, but now I agree. Then you discover say if people give you more strength for any other man where he there for you after you not forget any argument, because plenty people where we there with them for year as IDP, as youth leader, but I want to do in there. They will still believe say we will not get one more 14 where we will do because we any conference where all men will give an opinion and then we will give a signature of agreement since 2016. They will consider say any conference or activity the way don't take place before 2016. It not be buying the leadership the way they clap after 2016. Because political issues and conflict is dynamic, it's not static. Like the issue of 1990 will be applied for 2021, it won't be possible. Even for 2016 to apply for 2020, it is difficult. So the new dynamics for now get to start out with their own perspective and viewpoint of the situation on ground. And then from there now, we'll see how things are changing and adapt to it. Because you have question of the revolution and transition for Cameroon, where we, like I tell you before, we get a lot of population to make them for even winner. Where if impromptu transition come, we will take this decision and so on and so forth. So those are the chances that we have. That means we have to exploit all the possible advantages that we have as founding Cameroonians, irrespective of our ideologies that we are putting to fight for justice, peace, and reconciliation.
Are you not aware that the All Anglophone Conference 1 and 2, it was a constitution of Anglophones or Southern Cameroonians who were federalists, unionists of all backgrounds, that was credible and was legitimate representation of the interests of our people. They did agreed and adopted that no further All Anglophone Conference shall be held until action will be taken on the questions that were raised, without which they are going to declare independence and pursue this independence. So why would you be trying to do something that is against the will of the people that were properly constituted in All Anglophone Conference 1 and 2?
Good. That's a very good question. Now, why that I don't tell you against everything. If you look population for Cameroon from 1994 and 5, if you look political dynamics of Cameroon from 1994 and 5, for Southern Cameroon, it's not the same in 2021. The leadership at that time is not the leadership now. In politics, my brother, there is nothing like a static principle, law, agreement, or resolution. Unless the people revoke it by an election. But since the situation that we are now does not warrant for such an election for the people to reaffirm that resolution, you cannot for certain say that it is still binding everyone. Because if you interview so many people, they will tell you that that resolution is not binding because based on the context of now, we still need to review ourselves because many people believe that we are still divided in multiple fronts. It's true that at that time they said that no other one will be taken again. The next step will be war. We all agree on that. That was the resolution that was taken. But now in the midst of the war, there is need for us to rearrange ourselves in something similar to that. It may not be exactly that, but something similar to that.
Are you a federalist? Are you a federalist? Are you a federalist or a separatist or you are a unionist? How will you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as a confederation.
A confederalist.
If they were voting, yes, if they were voting for I would vote for confederation, the Canadian style federation.
Okay, are you a party to this conflict?
Of course.
So you are fighting for which side?
For Southern Cameroonians.
Because there is a war going on. When there is a fight, there are
I know that very well. I am even victim of the war.
So there are two sides fighting. Are you involved in the fighting? Because this is war.
Of course.
So you are fighting with
There are three ways of fighting.
Because we know that...
There are three ways of fighting a war. There are three ways of fighting a war. We have the physical fighting, to hold the gun and take the bullet. We have diplomatic fighting, to use the pen and fight the enemy. The pen can be the press, the pen can be diplomacy, the pen can be verbal confrontation, psychological destruction, strategical direction to the one fighting on the ground to have upper hand over the enemy troops. And then we have now the psychological, which is the spiritual aspect. So I am directly implicated. First of all, when the conflict broke in 2016, myself and Abine Aya, we were the first to carry out, to take footsteps from Cameroon across the border to go to Biagua, Janare, Ogoja, Kansa, and all those places. And while we were there, we discussed with the boys. And when we came back, La Republique called all of us. They questioned us ourselves because they said that we were sponsoring. But directly or indirectly, we cannot leave our people to suffer in a circumstance when they are supposed to be implicated to protect their dignity, the humanitarian suffering, and relieve them of the burden that has been put upon them by the enemy camp or the alliance, if I should put it that way. So I am directly involved.
So
let me just finish. When PAP resigned from PAP, I saw that in most countries, when the conflict wants to end, it is mostly political actors in collaboration with other groups, such as, let's say, Advocacy and other groups that are involved, that come together to press for people to hear their voice. Because in the international community, it is easy for some roads to be open to me as Secretary General of the political party, registered and fighting for a just cause than someone representing an organization that is not registered. And then in that case, I use my voice to fight for and protect my people. So that's why I use that knowledge to go back to PAP and fight using the media and fight by collaboration with my people to, with the various means at my disposal and within my capacity.
One day, the civil society came together and formed a consortium to represent the Southern Cameroon's interests in negotiation with La République du Cameroon. Before that negotiation was suspended by the Cameroon government, and the leadership had to run to Nigeria, and a decision was made in the first conclave to choose to pursue the route for independence and separation. Don't you think that you are now coming as a confederalist to come and neutralize what has already been agreed? What sort of consensus do you want to get?
It is not actually neutralizing, but if you use the word neutralizing, I will disagree with you. I would rather say it is strengthening.
Do you recognize the law that was the judgment in Bamenda High Court that was won by Godi Dinka that states that the La République du Cameroun had seceded following the declaration of independence by the SCNC in
1984.
Yeah, do you recognize the declaration of our independence?
I have read and listened to all the declarations made by Godi Dinka, those by Bernard Fallon, those by and the recent ones of 2015. My point is this only. My point is the fact that laws and principles or resolutions voted or consensually agreed by a group of people over a period of time in a conflict resolution do not bind people again. The ability of binding is reflected by what the people say. You only want to know that those laws are binding. You are a leader. Go around and interview Southern Cameroonian representatives who do not agree that using gun is the best option. And they will tell you that what Godi Dinka said is right. But there is need for us to sit again and define based on the realities of the situation now. Because the realities of the war in 2017 is not the reality of the war in 2020. At the beginning it was then gone, but now you guys are using explosives, which means that things have evolved. Which means that now we have to sit again and say that, hey, what about some people in Federation or the Confederate States who want to join now but the armed conflict because they are seeing that they are winning? Or those people in the federal or in the armed group who want to come and join the federalists to fight it diplomatically because they are tired of fighting. So those are the dynamics that are changing. If you are not neutralizing anything or you are not disapproving anything, you are reviewing and strengthening based on changing dynamics. Because leaders come with their own ideas and then they change things for the betterment. The objective here should be the faith behind what we are doing. Are we having good faith or bad faith? Are we having the interest of the people of South Cameroon? That is my fundamental value or things that I question, not necessarily the principle. Because the principle might be rigid, and the rigidity of the principle makes now the population that we, the leaders, because I have people that can lay down their life for me here in Cameroon, as well you have people that can lay their life for you there, which means that each person will claim to be a leader and have the ideology and the focus. But there is absolute need based on you, because you, Capo Daniel, was not there in 2000 or 1999 when some of those things were taking place. But now, me and you are the people that are taking the decisions now, which means that we review the decisions that were taken by those our old leaders. We need to review them and adapt it to the present context. We are not neutralizing anything.
So you think that in an era where the European Institute of Peace have offered to help the Amazonian people to prepare for negotiation, the Swiss HD, as funny as it may be, have done the same thing. The Parliament in the UK have called for international mediation. The parliamentarians in France have called for international mediation. The American Congress have passed a resolution calling for international mediation. Then you are now coming with a youth thing. Don't you think that you will just be distracting people and disturbing people who should be focused on things that can actually bring the parties of the conflict together to negotiate?
Well, that is a point of view and a factor that you have given which needs to be substantiated. Because be it the European Institute of Peace, the UN Security Council, French Parliament, or individuals advocating for the cause of Southern Cameroon and negotiating, all are at the level of advocacy. It is neither manifestation of the process or in the process. Like if we were talking about Swiss stop process, where we are seeing representatives of Cameroon, like the big government, flying to Switzerland, and those of Amazonia flying there, and in the process of negotiation, I will be a disruption to something that is in process. But all of these are advocacies, most of which are at the level of declarations on paper. And the backstage negotiations that are happening are not yet in the process of manifestation. Manifestation there means that a workshop or a conference actually discussing the process in an open view of the public. That's what I'm talking about. Which means you cannot completely ignore, castigate, or say that an initiative coming to bring people together with an objective of looking at how to improve on the dynamism of the conflict to safeguard the interest of the people will be a distraction. It might be the initiative that will save the conflict on your own side, or on my own side, or on the side of the people of Southern Cameroon. So, in a conflict situation, every peace initiative is important. Even an individual initiative is important until proven otherwise. Until proven otherwise.
So, what do you think how do you think you are going to convince a leader like the leader of the Ambazonia Governing Council, who have been in direct engagement with the United Nations Office of the Central African region, to abandon all their contacts who are pushing for international mediation and come and sit down with you to have consensus on things that have already been decided by the nationalist movement plus the consortium of the civil society?
You said something very important, that how am I going to convince? That's a good thing. But if you say abandon, we are not saying that any other initiative should be abandoned. We are not saying that the ongoing negotiations should be abandoned. We are saying that what me and others want to do now is like an input, extra fertilizer to a growing corn. It's like extra fertilizer to a growing corn, not telling or going to tell a diplomatic representative or a diplomat that no, this is the right way to go. No, we are not here to tell people that this is the right way. We are here to tell people that this is our own input of what can help in this process that you people are fighting for. It's like a police case where a detective is investigating a crime case, and at a particular position, everyone in the office needs to look for solutions in order to identify who is the actual murderer of that case. And then you cannot say that a detective who have already started carrying preliminary consultation, preliminary investigation, to abandon all reports and focus on maybe someone who comes and tells the commissioner that I have something that you have to dwell on in order to pass this easily. Whatever the person is bringing behind can just be an input to the already gathered report about the case. So this is what I am trying to make. But what we are doing or what we want to do is like an input. Is not for whosoever to abandon. Now think about how to convince. We are simply going to say that we youth, taking the organizations we represent and who we are, have in our capacity decided that we have to hold this in order to attain this goal. Every normal diplomat, politician, leader will have to review it, because ignoring it will mean that someone has tried to propose something to you and you do not take it into consideration. The person might not know what we are thinking next. If we are going to continue with the soft power of lobbying, or we are going to go to hard power. So, in a conflict situation, you don't ignore any suggestion from anyone, and diplomats are quite aware of that.
Mr. Fabrice, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for talking to me, and we keep in touch. We keep in touch, and God bless you, my brother.
You are a very intelligent man. You like that. You are not less intelligent but witty. This type of brain can only come from Southern Cameroon. Ah, master, get some people there. You talk for if me, whenever place myself for currently I could bring mediation someone ask me question. I know the stress for talk like I the stress for talk for you.
Welcome to the No Kunny Talk Zone.
I like our brother. I'm really glad by that. Well, like you have said, we should keep in touch. We should keep in touch, and I would really like you to give me your own analysis of how do you see it? How do you, because you have not made any comment, you just said that you have heard.
Yeah,
What
since I was giving you an interview, if I have to give you a comment, I will give you a comment like an activist, because I am an official. I'm a command official of the Ambazonian Defense Forces, and from my experience, I have been the ambassador of Siseko's group, the IG, representing him in Asia and Middle East. I'm also an official with the governing council, and these are the two major group. With Siseko in prison right now, Dr. Chua Yaba, I think, is leading the charge in terms of providing inspiration, and his organization being the major one on the field.
What about the other guy, Daniel Yerima? Is he working in collaboration with Dr. Cho, or I don't know?
Yeah, Daniel Yerima is representing Siseko. He's his representative.
All right.
So they are representing the same organization, and I can tell you exactly what the position is. These positions are positions that come from institutions that have competent persons that have studied the questions, they have considered other stakes, and they have put forth their conditions that we will only negotiate with a foreign mediator, multiple partners, that and in a mediation process that is guaranteed by international instrument on enforcement, so that no party will just walk out of negotiation without some consequences, or a possible partner that will follow up with the possibility of pursuing strong sanction against that party. And that is a position. That is a position, and we think that is fair, and that is what they want for negotiation. So I can just tell you that in these terms, if I have to evaluate your platform and your forum, I would think that it falls short of this expectation, because your organization may lack the capacity to apply for resolutions in the United Nations to apply these conditions, and you are not a state. Your organization is not a state party. Why all Southern Cameroonians have the right, because we are all stakeholders as citizens. But in terms of military conflict, like a war that we are in, the warring parties are the people who are actually doing the fighting. Those are the people that you are talking about peace. You don't make peace with civilians who are going about their day-to-day business. They are not involved in the conflict, but they are stakeholders. So you have to look at the leadership of those who are calling the shot, because whatever politicians are saying, or stakeholders or citizens are talking about, it is really secondary to what the people who hold the guns are talking about, and those who sway the popular opinion. You know, the population is also engaged in the ghost town, which is a civil disobedient way for them to say that they want separation and outright independence for our territory. So the people who the people who are competent and capable of influencing the popular opinion and the military side, both for La Republique and Ambazonia, should be the one you can talk to. You cannot go and be negotiating with a minister in La Republique just because he's a La Republican. He may not have any power. The person you have to talk to in La Republique is Mr. Pobia, and the person you have to talk to, the person you have to talk to in Ambazonia, we have multiple people, but in terms of influence, I think Ayabacho is the most influential, and Siseko Ayuk Tabi, who was at one point he was the most influential person, because he's in prison now. I think the leader of the war effort.
Other guy who say that they are also
the splinter group.
um,
The splinter group of Sako.
Capo and the others.
Sako have been fired by Siseko Ayoktabi, so he cannot legitimately represent the IG group. He is a splinter group. In terms of his influence on the ground, is very limited because his organization do not have command and control on the ground. But they have created a narrative that any force that is independent and by the ideology of the government ideology will seems as if they are under them. But in terms of military command and control, his influence is as strong as that of Chia Martin of the Tigers of Ambazonia. So he is a player, but not what I think the two major player are Ayabachu and Seseko Ayoktabi.
Okay.
That is why is why even though there were so many in their own word, the team Ambazonia, they could not pull out a negotiation in Switzerland because they were not influential enough. Everybody would tell them you have to bring the people who are more influential and who are actually having the command on the ground. So I think that is how it is. But it is a collective struggle, nevertheless. But there is no struggle without leadership.
Yeah, nevertheless.
People have different. People have different influence. People have different level of influence, and those who are leading the effort, providing inspiration, instigating, and maintaining the momentum for fighting, definitely have higher influence in terms of the conflict. If you pull their influence out, you find that people have different level of influence over the forces and over the public as well. But I unfortunately for you, I am under the Ambazonian Governing Council. I'm not allowed. It will not be ethical for me to take positions. So I follow the position taken by the Governing Council of Ambazonia, and there is a partner group of Seseko's organization. So they do consult, they do synchronize their advocacy on behalf of our people.
All right. Well, extend my message of courage and gratitude to my senior man, Advocacy, who are always talking the time, but to all others who are into the struggle. All I can say is that the collective struggle, as you said, I wish you guys well. We are in our own small capacity trying to see what we can do. Pen our name in the book of history of Cameroon as those that in their own time they put some energy, some input in order to see that we are liberated. So that's what we are doing and nothing else.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you for talking to us.
Thanks.
And God bless you.
Same to you, bro. Same to you. Let's keep in touch.
Yeah. Ciao.
Wow.
That was Mr. Fabrice Lena, one of the convener of this of the AYCF. God bless you. Today is this 25th day of the month, 26th day of the month of May 2021. Capo Daniel signing out.